Since the beginning of the Fourth Republic in 1992, Ghana's political scene has been dominated by Democratic Congress, the NDC. Since 1992, the NDC and the NPP have dominated Ghana's political landscape. Any dream of having a new force or a third force continues to remain a mirage. But a new force is emerging, led by businessman Anakwame Bediako, popularly known as Cheddar and Freedom Jacob Caesar. The founder of the New Africa Foundation believes he is the one to save Ghanaians from the two main political parties, NPP and NDC. Tonight, we are using him as a reference point to find out whether there is a possibility for a new force to emerge in Ghana. What will that new force need to topple the two main political parties? And is this the time? Is a question we'll be asking later on the show. Connecting with us on this matter from the UK is Dr. Kobi Mensah. He's a lecturer at the University of Ghana. He's a chartered marketer, a member of Political Marketing Specialist Group of the Political Studies Association UK. He's an associate editor, African Journal of Management and Research. He consults for corporate and political institutions on political marketing, corporate communication, social media deployment, and tourism marketing. Also connecting is Kofi Otri. He's a digital publicist. Worthy Elijah is a cybersecurity expert and IT audit specialist. Elijah loves to travel, so I'm sure he has definitely seen some of those huge billboards in town. Abdul Karim Ibrahim is a journalist and a researcher. Rahim Akwe is a student of Unimac GIJ and a member of the Economic Fighters League. They'll be joining us shortly. You can also connect with us via WhatsApp on 055 1111997 055 1111997. My name is Maxwell Agbagba. We connect right after the break.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST Campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
No matter your water needs, Syntex has it all. Syntex Tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex Tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, stress-free. Syntex Tank, reliable. Syntex Tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough.
It's a century of safeguarding dreams with Enterprise Insurance. In the spirit of our 100th anniversary, Enterprise Insurance revs it up with Yafinia Motor Promotion. One lucky winner will cruise around in a sleek brand new Nissan Kicks SUV. First and second runner-ups will jet off to Dubai for an all-expense paid escape. Renew or get your vehicle insurance between January and June 2024 and win free fuel coupons. Monthly raffle draws give you cool gadgets like laptops, Samsung phones, microwaves, gas cooker, tabletop fridge, and many more. Enterprise Insurance Yafinia Motor Promotion is on at all our branches. Call your broker or agent to buy or renew your motor insurance and make history with Ghana's oldest insurance company. Truly trusted. That's the Enterprise Advantage. Terms and conditions apply. This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform.
Enterprise, your advantage.
The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority (DVLA) has introduced a new online vehicle registration process. That's right, you can now log on to online.gov.gh to start your new vehicle registration process at the comfort of your location. Then present your vehicle at any private vehicle test station with customs release documentation for verification and testing. Once that's done, you can visit any DVLA office for further vehicle inspection and biometric verification of the owner or authorized persons for your digital smart card. Yes, a smart card. No more paper documents, and it's that easy. Log on to online.gov.gh today and start your new vehicle registration process now. DVLA, your safety, our concern.
I came here to add value to this world and to nature. I am not going to live here without God. I came to you as your salvation. I don't invest in myself alone. I am investing in you.
Mostly and everything is by us, from us now. But I want the nation
Mostly?
Yes, mostly, okay? I want the nation to understand that I am coming to you to support me. Just because you haven't seen me ask you, I am coming to ask you to donate, to help me, because I'm changing the narrative of politics in the history of Ghana. Now, why do I think this is changing it? If you look at the Western democratic system, okay, every politician that becomes a leader or a president, he goes to the people. It doesn't matter whether he's a billionaire, he's a business person, or he's poor. He goes to the people and say, please donate, help me to campaign. And the people put $1, $5, whatever dollars they want to contribute to this person. So he has some capital to campaign, because campaign does cost money. Okay, it costs a lot. I might have to sell my building to pay for some billboards and to pay for some buses and to pay for people that I work and pay for media and pay for everything. I am about to ask them. My team will come together, and it doesn't matter what you can contribute to us in this campaign that we're about to go through. Whether it's water, we will take it. Whether it's one city, we will take it. Anything that people give us, we will declare it. And we will show appreciation, and we will use that money rightfully. It would reduce the jealousy, I know a lot of people are jealous, but I don't blame them. And I'm not fighting them. As much as you don't like me, I can understand you. Because if you don't have it at all, and I have it, then you have to ask yourself, how did I get it? Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm trying to hint you that, wisdom is one of the main things that has acquired my wealth.
So he being on the
I'm sure that they would definitely want to ask all of these things that is owned by me. And
so the voice you're hearing in the background is Nana Kwame Bediako, popularly known as Cheddar. And as you heard right from the beginning, he launched his campaign, I should say, on Sunday. It was supposed to take place at the Independence Square, but finally we had an unveiling. He dropped the mask on Sunday and announced to the world that he's the face behind the masked man you've been seeing on the giant billboards along Ghana's, on the roads along Ghana's principal streets. Connecting with us on this matter, like I mentioned to you earlier, is Dr. Kobe Mensah. He's a lecturer at the University of Ghana. He's a chartered marketer, a member of political marketing specialist group. He consults for corporate and political institutions on political marketing, corporate communication, social media deployment, and tourism marketing. Also connecting is Kojo Otri. He's a digital publicist. We also have Worthy Elijah. He's a cybersecurity expert and IT audit specialist. We also have Abdul Karim Ibrahim. He's a journalist and a researcher. Rahim Akwe is a student of Unimac GIG and a member of the Economic Fighters League. I want to start. Hello, gentlemen, lady, welcome to Ghana Connect.
Thanks for having me.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Great. I want to start with you, Dr. Kobe Mensah. You are connecting.
Thank you very much.
You are connecting from the UK. I want to find out from you first of all, and from where you sit as the expert here. Wouldn't you agree that Nana Kwame Bediako has revolutionized the political campaigning landscape, in Ghana, with what we've seen so far? A masked man on giant billboards across the country. For weeks, we're all in suspense. We didn't know who it was. And finally, he drops the mask and says, "It is me." Don't you think he has revolutionized, the political campaigning landscape here in Ghana?
All right, thanks for having me. Let me say hi to the fellow panelists, especially my students. Firstly, let me say that, yes, he's a very smart guy. You could say that was a smart move. I don't think that you would use the word revolutionized, for that. That would be a stretch. I think that in the past, 2000 elections, that's when you could say that something completely new actually hit our screens, hit our political landscape. I wouldn't actually say that having done these, billboards, giant billboards with a very, perhaps, suspended, a very creative, as you put it, creative, advertising would qualify for a revolution. But of course, that was a smart move. It made people, want to look forward to who was behind the mask. I would say that for you to actually change the landscape of a political system, you need more than advertising. You need more than a smart thinking. You need quite a lot of resources, not in terms of material, but in terms of goodwill, in terms of very innovative policies, responsive policies. You need some things that could actually engage the voters beyond the communication, beyond the advertisement, etc. So yes, it would be it can qualify as a smart move, but it wouldn't be a revolution.
Interesting. Let me find out from you, Abdul Karim Ibrahim. Dr. Kobe Mensah says yes, it's a smart move, but it doesn't qualify for the term that some people are using, on the streets. Let me find out from you. What came to mind when you first saw the billboard? The Maxed Man, the New Force. What came to mind first of all when you saw that? Hello, Abdul Karim Ibrahim. Kindly unmute for me. Hello, Karim. Okay, yeah. Hello, Karim. Okay, so I'll come back to you, Karim, but let me come to you, Kojo.
Hello.
Yes, Kojo, tell me, where did you first see the New Force billboard, and what came to mind when you saw it?
So, we are in suspense wondering who it was. Because sometimes when you are starting a movement, you need to, when people know it's you, it becomes a problem. You need to put people in suspense before you obey yourself. But I was wondering who it was. Couple of mentioning names, but I just wanted to find out who it was. So I saw the post on social media that he is the one. And I said to be a bold move because right now, we as Ghanaians, we are tired of these old people always making decisions for us, the youth. So we're even happy that someone within our caliber is actually moving for change and another initiative that will also benefit us. Because at the end of the day, our views and our voices will be heard.
It is interesting that you're talking about age because already Nana Kwame Bediako is using that as a trump card, stating that he's young, he's energetic. In fact, in an interview on Joy News, quote, he says, please give me a chance, let me do it. I have the energy, I have the time, I have the grace, I have the glory. It is like I have 5 years more. It is not like I have 5 years more to live or something. I feel like I am halfway through my life or a little bit over, but I have a lot of energy and I have a lot of time. Karim, if you can hear me, do you think really this would sell because he's already using this as a trump card? He thinks this puts him, ahead of all the other people in the race.
Hi, Maxwell, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you, Karim.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so for me, I'm not as enthusiastic and optimistic about this as many seem to be, and certainly as you also seek to really get from us tonight in this conversation. I think that one thing is very true, that as a nation we're very, very, or very much in a very desperate situation. And as a result, we have always been clamoring for an alternative to the duopoly of NPP and NDC.
Yeah.
But I do not think that is also any license at all for us to create room for very desperate, narcissistic individuals whose fortunes appear to be their only real stake in the game, right? And whose fortune really, we have absolutely no idea where it's coming from. And for me, I do not see this gentleman in question any differently from how I see Madame Ekuadonko or the other gentleman who came third in the last election, the pastor, what's his name again? Osofu Chirabosom. I think they are more serious candidates than this gentleman is. Because beyond the theatrics of posting billboards around the city, and then also capturing the attention of people here in Accra and Twitter and a few other places who really sincerely and seriously considers that for the kind of problem that we have on our hands and the direction that we want to go with our democracy, what we need is a lion collecting, Gucci wearing, Sahelian vibe looking guy from absolutely nowhere who would come and save us. I mean, when I listen to him, I like the idea that anybody at all has the zeal, the desire. And I can see his Pan-African interest and all. If you go to his website, He has a couple of very interesting things to say about Pan-Africanism, and that seems to be his entry point. And that is why you would find him bring the likes of Dr. Arikana and the others. But clearly, if not for anything at all, on this continent, we've seen this over and over again. And we must be very careful of people like that who appear to come and tell us that they are going to save us simply because they have money, which money we cannot know where exactly it came from.
But Karim, wouldn't you agree with me that that is what we need, at this point? We need the integration of the continent. We need the continent to come together. We need to project the African dream. We need people who have Africa at heart, people who, Pan-Africanists. We need people who will, put Africa first. And that seems to be, one of the things he's, projecting, one of the things that he's so passionate, about. Is it all? Is it all doom and gloom?
Yeah, I think unfortunately it's all doom and gloom in this view. And you know me, and as a young researcher also, my interest really is in decolonization and African issues and all of that. So here's really an area of interest to me, and I would very much love it for people who want to lead this country, for instance, who have the Pan-African outlook. Except that I go beyond the aesthetics to really interrogate what it is that people say they support or represent, right? And I struggle really, Maxwell, I struggle to see the point of his Pan-Africanness. But let me also say that I do really appreciate if he were not, for instance, using that as the entry point into a presidential race in a country like Ghana, I would think very differently of that. But again, the Pan-Africanism and the values and the principles are also, for instance, what largely and primarily influence, for instance, our idea along the lines of economy, how we organize our society and all of that. For everything that he sort of represents so far and has put out there, it doesn't seem to me that here is someone with some very revolutionary socialist orientation or connects with the African base and the common people in ways that all the other guys roaming about somewhere in the United States who have money and come here to spend December with us are. He's not any different from Nick Mill to me in the way that he goes about his things, right? So I appreciate it, and I would love that people would take more interest in Pan-Africanism and all. But I'm sorry, it's not so cheap and so easy to just run with the rhetoric and then expect that something is going to come out of that. I'm not enthused and convinced at all.
Interesting. Worthy, let me come to you, Worthy. Clearly, Abdul Karim Ibrahim is not enthused about Nana Kwame Bediako. He's not impressed. He doesn't see anything good, for want of a better word, coming out of his candidature. You've been traveling. You've been traveling across Ghana, and I'm sure you've definitely come across, some of these billboards. Hello, Worthy. Worthy, can you hear me? Hello, Worthy.
Yeah, hello, Maxwell.
Yes.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, yeah.
Hello, Maxwell. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, Elijah.
Yeah. Good evening to your listeners, and then good evening to our panelists. I got your question. I hope I don't break because of my location. And as you said, Karim is really not enthused about the new force tag that has been introduced in the political arena. But then I think I will agree with Doc on the statement that he made when he said in Ghanaian politics, actually, when you look at it, no new force has really been introduced aside the 2000s where Kufuor, former President Kufuor, came into the scene and then challenged the whole political discourse with J.J. Rawlings and then the Tamils combo. But then with regards to the new force concept, I think I will agree with Abdul Karim on certain issues, like when it comes to the principles that he wants to perpetuate, which is the principles of Pan-Africanism, being able to relate with the youth on certain topics. I think the brand is a bit confusing, and then I think the brand has to be very specific. Personally, for me, I was looking at the interview that he just granted and some of the statements that he made, and then I realized that he was trying to say the reason why he invited these in quote Pan Africanists to come for the convention event, which was cancelled, was because he wanted to bring the 60s back into the 21st century, the ideas and then the ideologies of Pan Africanism. But then when you critically look at it, I don't think the ideas of the 60s will really work in the 21st century. And I mean, this calls for a lot of, reshaping the thoughts and then the thinking of Ghanaians in many regards. And with regards to a bit of my travels and what I've seen in Ghana, I think aside a new force being introduced in Ghana, what we need is a problem solving political party which has the interest of the citizens at heart, which has policies and objectives and goals in place where it is going to affect all the 16 regions of Ghana, affect all the over 30 million populations of Ghana, not only those in Accra and Kumasi and then Cape Coast or probably Takoradi, but then everybody is going to benefit. For example, today on my flight to Tamale, I realized that when you get into the Midlands between the south and then the north, there's a lot of vast lands, a lot of vast rivers that could be explored and all those things. But then, what is the new force going to do about this? Now, mind you, the new force that has been introduced in this political space is not just Nana Kwame Bediako, but then we have the scene of the former Honorable is Alan Chamantin with his political campaign. And then we have the introduction of some new people who want to run for as independent candidates and all that. So, I mean, for me, if you are talking about a new force in Ghana, from my perspective as a volunteer and someone who has Ghana at heart, it's about a new force that will consider all the 16 regions, all the 30 million plus citizens of Ghana, consider the real issues on ground: health, education, law, legislation, facilities, roads, and all the basic amenities that will make a nation a nation. And we'll consider issues as taxation. So if we're a political party and are not discussing these things, I mean, I don't see you as a new force. That's for me.
Interesting. Let me go to Dr. Kobe Mensah. Already, we are seeing the results of the campaign of Nana Kwame Bediako, translated into. It seems to be making some inroads, right? So the Global Info Analytics put out their projection of the 2024 elections, and they said that John Mahama is in a clear lead. That's their recent, survey, followed by Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, and then others following. Now, we've seen some social media surveys. I think we have one of that, social media polls. We have one of that here, and surprisingly, Nana Kwame Bediako, John Mahama led that poll, right? My colleague Papa Niashale will be coming with that result, shortly. But John Mahama led that poll, and then surprisingly, Nana Kwame Bediako was the second. As the marketer that you are, how do things play out in instances like this? How do these things play out to project a particular candidate?
Okay, Maxwell. Firstly, let me say that I can understand the position of Karim. You could feel a certain disappointment in his voice because of the perceived publicity that we actually given to a certain candidate, especially the candidate that we're talking about. So you could hear him trying to control the kind of language he wants to use. I would say that we probably have to be a little bit careful in our language, just as he's trying to prevent himself from using. But you could understand the anger or the position that you have, and that's exactly what I want to drive at. The candidate we're talking about has managed to insert himself into the political discourse of this country. But you would ask yourself whether that is indeed the kinds of leadership that we need. Obviously, a smart guy. He's performed, so to speak, in terms of business. I'm not sure whether you would actually use the output of material wealth as a measure of performance. But of course, if without any other information, in the midst of information asymmetry, you would want to say that perhaps he's done well for himself. Clearly, he has a certain material advantage, material wealth, and so he could do many things. He has inserted himself into Pan-African political discourse, which I found very interesting, the kind of words he used. When he had his event, he sort of, aligned himself or compared himself with, Asajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, with, Martin Luther King, saying that he, unlike Martin Luther King, had a vision, but in a dream, but not a dream. That seems to downplay Martin Luther King's, position, which I thought that the professor, PLO Lumumba, was actually found it quite strange, because he rolled his eyes, in that sense. And typically, that's exactly what he's trying to do, to insert himself into the political discourse of this country, because he has a certain material wealth that could actually make him do so. I don't think that people actually take him as a serious political, leader or a political candidate, and that's why some people are trying to restrain themselves from the kind of words they're using. Ghanaians need better than that, leadership better than that. Now, you could perhaps use your material wealth to buy publicity, to put yourself out there, but I don't think that in terms of voting and leadership, the people would actually consider you as that. And as the earlier speaker actually mentioned, traveling across the country, if you do a poll that perhaps on the social media that puts you in the midst of some notable leaders, does not actually mean that you are marketable enough. The country is actually looking forward to see you, as he seems to call himself, as a savior. I don't think that's the case. Anybody who has the money can actually do that. He could perhaps, use that resource, especially granted that we're in a very dire economic situation. He could perhaps use that as an influence. We have seen that even existing or, current or status quo leaders have been using money to do that. So it's something that he could also do it. And he wouldn't be, I don't think that he could be blamed for it, because the political parties, the politicians already are doing so. All right. So he could do that. He could use his wealth to sort of push the voters, especially a certain segment of the voters, not everybody else, a certain segment of the voters, to actually seem to be pushing him into the political, arena. But I don't think that's the kind of leadership we need. We have to be serious. We have to be very measured in the kind of people that we want as leaders. And by the way, political leadership, politicians do not come as one person. You need a very, what we call a critical mass of, leadership that could actually govern the country when the country is given to you. I don't think that he has that. And I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to assemble, so to speak, leaders that are of political measure to actually follow him. He could actually, use his money to invite one or two people, but I don't think that that's the way forward for us. So whoever has done a poll for him to look as though he's in the midst of it, I doubt the integrity of those polls. I doubt the competencies that he has to become a political leader. He could be the businessman, of course. He could be an entrepreneur, of course. Political leadership is much more than being smart. It takes quite a lot of things. And by the way, when we talk about Pan-Africanism, it's not about you claiming that. If you look at the lives of former, Asajifo Nkrumah, they worked for it, not using resources to be, creating publicity that they are Pan-African. There are certain traits as a Pan-Africanist, not that you call yourself, but that you work for it. People see you as such. So if people haven't actually seen you as such, but then you're using wealth for publicity, claiming that you're Pan-African, that does not make you a Pan-Africanist. You could be a believer in a Pan-Africanism, but it doesn't make you a Pan-African leadership, as he's trying to do by inviting PLO, by inviting Dr. Arita, etc. I don't think that's how it works. We have to be mindful the way we project people in this country. Otherwise, everybody else with money can actually project themselves in that sense. And it becomes a status quo. That is very worrying. And that's why people would use certain language, which I would plead that would probably have to be measured in the way we describe people, because, of course, they also hold certain legitimacy within certain sectors. But please, we have to be mindful the way we project people.
Doc, I'll go to Karim and then Kojo shortly, but I want to find out from you. So essentially, what you're saying is you do not think that the new force is going to be a force to reckon with in the 2024 elections. You don't think
it is not. If we're talking about who along the geopolitics is a serious force, then we can talk about a movement for change. We can talk about Alan Chominton. Of course, he had been one of the leading political leaders in this country. He is very much fundamentally representing a certain ideological position. People have seen what he's done in the ministries, etc. You probably can talk about that. Of course, the Freedom Jacob Caesar had worked in business. He has certain wealth. He's known within his sector, his arena. But I don't think that you can easily translate that into the political discourse and say, because you have done this, it would actually fetch you that much in politics. I think my colleague, Dr. Laurentia Japan, actually did a study on how, celebrity images could actually translate into political capital. And there was none. I mean, not none, but it was very little that you could actually do in terms of transferring your goodwill in the celebrity into the political arena. It doesn't work like that. So he could be that business tycoon, done so many things. He could be being celebrated by young people. They look at him as sort of a measure of success. But you can't easily convert that into a political capital. There's quite a lot of things that you must do. And currently, the traits that he has, I don't think is enough. If you want to really kind of translate into that, then he needs a lot of work.
He needs a lot of work. Kojo? Hello, Kojo?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes. Kojo, you've heard Dr. Kobe Mensah saying that
yes,
Dana Kwame Bediako really needs to do a lot of work if indeed he wants to, be the force to reckon with, a force to reckon with in the 2024 elections. I don't know what you make of what you've seen so far, your assessment so far about, his political strategy and how he's going about it, sending his message across. There are those who think that his message is really resonating with the people. They think that his message is really resonating, with the grassroots. You go on digital media, go on social media, you see people discussing him, and some believe strongly that he's somehow of the firm conviction that he's the third force.
Yeah. So you know that as I was saying, as Doc was saying, people have a way of positioning themselves in the society. So that's the strategy he used, because we all know Cheddar to be a very successful business mogul. He does a lot of, he has a lot of friends who are rich. And this event that he did was a strategy to put himself well in the media space and also in the face of Ghanaians. Me, for instance, what we the youth we need is a new or a fresh face to be able for us to be heard, as I said earlier. But with what he is portraying right now, he's using a method of trying to get we, the youth, to reckon with him and also choose him as our next leader. he might not win if he stands now, but as Doc said, there's more work for improvement. So as people are bashing him, I feel like a lot of people should actually tell him that this is not the right way to go if you want to have a political stand in this country.
Okay. Okay, Coach. Now let me come to you, Karim.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Karim, you've heard from Dr. Kobe Mensah. He says that your critique of Nana Kwame Bediako is really, too strong. You need to tone down on, your critique of his, strategy. I don't know if that is informed, with the benefit of hindsight. You've experienced some of these things in the past, or you think there are others who also think that, look, the birds are coming home to roost now. They've seen the transition, from what they have seen previously as someone who is all about, flaunting his wealth on social media, like you suggested, and someone who is now talking about, development, talking about national development, talking about Pan-Africanism and all of that. What really informed, this perception that you have about Nana Kwame Bediako? And what he's doing now, whether what he's doing now will change, your view about him.
Maxwell, I think I should note first and foremost that I appreciate the point that Prof makes. But and again, I think that he also sort of says the same thing that I'm driving at here. But of course, he does it a lot more professionally than I would. I am a casual commentator. I am a journalist. So I could run like that and not have a problem. So, but I appreciate it. The point that I'm making really is that I think that we need to be able to assess the kind of problem that we have. The reason why we would have a conversation about the possibility of a third force is for a very, very serious cause. It is because we think that the time is due to try something new, among other things like that. But I just have a challenge with this seasonal approach of always talking about the third force in a way that we are never really serious about. Even the media, in terms of how everybody has sort of jumped onto this train, it's become so easy. And so it means that all that it takes for one to be able to make themselves a compelling force in our conversation is to demonstrate some amount of money or some level of wealth. Or otherwise, you can be as spectacularly nauseating as we have seen with many political leaders these days who have now sort of become the popular guys in many circles. If you go to the ruling NPP, for instance, one of the biggest voices in the party is a man who threatens journalists and has gone about saying all manner of things. He was very, very close in the last primaries that they conducted.
Yeah.
If you look at the NPP, for instance, in the Ashanti region, the most influential political person in that region as it stands now is a man who just goes about creating spectacles, insulting, and it's a sensation for radio, for TV, for news, and all of those things. That is where the problem is. We should not be platforming people just on the account of nothing. What values do we have? And if someone comes out and then says that they are a visionary, if you go to his website, for instance, this is a visionary, he's an industrialist and a nation builder. Absolutely no evidence whatsoever. But somehow, because he's able to have the money and do whatever it is that attracts attention, all of us seem to be very interested. And journalists forget that there's a distinction between the work that we are doing and what bloggers who talk about people's lifestyles are also about. And for me, if at the end of the day, all of this are going to be contributing to the political discourse and shape what we do in terms of what we consider to be very serious alternative, then we have a problem. So it is along these lines that I think about this. My point really can never be about the fact that if someone felt that they wanted to be president or they have an ambition, they should not advance it. I'm totally in full support of people expressing themselves and living their life. But the rest of us, the way that we engage these kinds of things, right, is really problematic. And that's why I've said, and I'll say it again, on the side of lightheartedness when it comes to these things, we take it a lot more serious than somebody like him. And again, the evidence has also suggested that other people have done better. Even Fix the Country, right? We haven't treated Fix the Country the same way We haven't done the same way for Ernesto Yeboah and his other colleagues in Economic Fighters League, right? These are things that we can very much see. If you look at Ernesto Yeboah and his group, they are Nkrumahs, they are Pan-Africanists also, but they lack something. They lack the spectacle and what is able to buy that spectacle. And that's what we are getting from this Gucci-wearing guy who loves the idea of hiring himself as the Prince of Africa.
Karim, is it the case that you've not seen enough political activism, from Nana Kwame Bediako, and that is also partly informing, this view that you have of him? So you mentioned Gucci wearing, and you want to see him fold his long sleeves and be on the streets demonstrating or doing something?
No, I guess what I'm trying to do here really, and to not hide away from it, is to actively discredit him, because there's nothing that convinces me, or even you, I believe, that this is a serious character. And if we are talking about the future of our democracy, and we are actively interested in what the idea of a third force could be, it cannot be this guy, because there's nothing that points up to that direction, except of course he has money and he has engaged in this spectacle that has attracted our attention.
But he has used that money to put up a lot of investments in the country. In Accra, for instance, we're talking about
which ones exactly?
We're talking about Kwale's apartment. You're talking about the Signature building. You're talking about the #1 Oxford Street building. He's doing a lot in this country, investing.
Do you even know if they pay taxes?
Abdul Karim Ibrahim.
Hello, Maxwell.
Okay. Time to go to Elijah. Yeah, let me go to Elijah and then I come to Papani actually. Yeah, Elijah.
Okay, sure.
Elijah,
Maxwell,
are you convinced that Nana Kwame Bediako is the third force a lot of Ghanaians have been yearning for? He says he's the new force. Do you think he's the new force? Do you think he's the third force a lot of us have been yearning for?
Okay, as I jump to your question, I will just piggyback on what Doc has said, especially on the comment on the polls. Some of these polls, it doesn't really go far than to just push around social media to let you know that, okay, the social media is working. And, for these analytics, they mostly pull from, keywords, using, search engine optimization and all that. So, as Doc said, we can't really trust the data. And, there is a way in Ghana where data does not really trickle down to what is the reality on the ground, because the data will not reflect what is happening in the village in Mbana Yere, or what is happening in the village in Asama, Kesi, or Bekwai. So, the data or the analytics have to be checked a bit. And also, to comment on what he said about the fact that in Ghanaian politics, you can't just quickly transfer goodwill into a political experience. So basically what this new force is trying to bring into the fold is sort of like transferring this goodwill of giving slippers to these kind of people. I have pictures from 2020 doing this, doing that, and transferring it to political power. But that is not political power. Political power is a living organism that has many structures that work together to produce a tangible impact to the society. And the society must accept you. So these are some of the questions the new force has to be answering. And then another question that we need to answer before we'll be able to say that this new force is sort of something that Ghanaians want is we need to actually sit down as Ghanaians and look at the qualities we need from a new political force that will actually move the nation in a positive direction. And the intention of this new political force should not be about supporting or giving more, fuel to the lifestyle of the elite, but then bringing tangible impact and changing the lives of those at the grassroots. You asked that question. Is the new force really looking at the grassroots? Is the new force looking at only Accra? And, you mentioned a question about someone who has made investments in Accra, Kwales, and all those things. How many Ghanaians can afford Kwales? How many Ghanaians can afford a living in Accra? So is this new, from my earlier submission, I said a new force in the political arena should be looking at how it is going to solve the problems of the 16 regions, over the 30 million people in Ghana, and then bringing about a systematic or a fundamental change in the structure of our governance in the country.
Okay.
So when we are talking about systematic change, we are talking about all the three arms of government.
Yeah.
Is separation of power is really happening in Ghana? Is his political party really going to make any impact there?
Yeah.
So to your question, I mean, the new force we are discussing today, I really don't think that this new force that has been introduced in will have that much impact.
Okay.
Probably the change movement will try and have some impact. Trabosum will try and have some impact. But then, I mean, I don't know for this new force.
Okay.
But then, yeah,
Thank you.
it's something I will discuss. I mean,
Thank
it's
you.
attractive to the youth because of the Gucci and all that. But then, let's see how it goes.
Thank you, Elijah. Now time to connect to you to hear what you've been saying. My colleague Michael Papaniashali is in the studio. Michael,
Babster,
tell us what's happening on social media. What
Great.
are people saying?
So let's start from. I'll give you the poll. I think you mentioned a bit of the poll later, but let's go to WhatsApp now. And Maxwell, your namesake, is connected with us from Osu, and he says we certainly need a third force. The two main political parties are just taking us for a ride, whilst we the citizens are wallowing in poverty. They are only interested in the next election. God save our homeland. My name is Nash Maxwell. Thank you very much. So let's go to our post now, right? We asked a simple question. Who are you voting for in the upcoming 2024 elections? And this was posted sometime in the morning. Maxwell, we have well over 26,000 people participating in this particular poll. They are interested in trying to express their view on who exactly they are going to be voting for. We have Dr. Mahmoud Mamia on that list, John Dramani Mahama, Alan Chamantin, and then Nana Kwame Bediako. Let me start from the bottom. Surprisingly, Alan Chamantin, who a month ago, or even before the new force billboards came up, was the third force, got 7% of the Afrafranto, Butterfly, got 7% of all the people who said that they were going to vote for him come 2024 elections. Now, next on the list, Maxwell, guess who would that be?
Tell me.
Well, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia came through with 14% of the total vote. People who say, well, as it stands now, if they have to vote, they're going to vote for him. Just 14%. Twice that of Alan Chamantin. But up next is Nana Kwame Bediako. Third force. The new force, I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
His name comes up. And then finally, 42% of the people who participated in our poll say John Dramani Mahama has their vote. But let me take you to some of the comments. This one here from Nana Osei Anyamedu says NPP and NDC have all failed actually, but this government, no. This one says that, well, how is Bawumia able to get 40%? Well, she doesn't think that he should have got that. That's from Mary Banks. Another one here says that, well, Nana Kwame Bediako is a settings man. He has nothing for the country. Mahama cannot come back. Bawumia is also a not. For me, I prefer Kennedy Japan any day, but Kennedy is not on that list. So, Maxwell, you've heard from people, right?
Yeah.
There's a picture here of someone who has posted a question to the guy you mentioned earlier, Chirabosum.
Yeah.
That, well, he thinks that Chirabosum is the third force.
Interesting.
Well, he was in the last election. Let's see how he goes this year.
Great. Thanks much, Michael Papani, Ashley. Let me ask our guest 5 seconds each who they think is the third force or who is the new force. Let me start with you, Dr. Kobe Mensah. Dr. Kobe Mensah, in 5 seconds, who is the new force?
No, I mean, if you are talking about a force, you need to not necessarily someone who has a name recognition, but we're talking about, a very serious, compelling candidate. Currently, as we speak, you would say that Alan Chamantin is a compelling candidate.
Okay.
You couldn't actually say that Bediako is. No.
Okay. Thanks so much, Dr. Kobe Mensah. Abdulkarim Ibrahim, who is your third force? Or who is your new force, I should ask?
Maxwell, we're going to have to do without them. There's not one yet. We'll wait.
Wow. Interesting. Elijah, what about you?
I mean, Maxwell, I think the new force is the people of Ghana. I mean, it will always be the people of Ghana, and then it will keep being the people of Ghana, the citizens of Ghana, not the elite.
Interesting. What about you, Kojo?
Maxwell knew the answer already.
I know the answer already. Who's the new force? The third force?
I'm going with them.
Okay, you're going with them. Okay. Okay. Okay, one for Nana Kwame Bediako. So I have this one here. It says the only reason people like Nana Kwame Bediako is that they feel they can take us for a ride and arrogate to themselves titles they have not earned is because those we believed could, at the very least, give us decent governance have failed spectacularly. And to make matters worse, they have also monetized the system using state resources as a weapon of manipulation. So when you have a cheddar who has money, he feels he can lay claim to the presidency, or to put it bluntly, buy it. Okay. That's a message coming from one of our testers, Kojo there. Okay, but let me say special thanks to Dr. Kobe Mensah, who joined us from the UK. You heard Abdul Karim Ibrahim, is a journalist and researcher. Worthy Elijah is a cyber security expert and IT audit specialist. You also heard from Worthy Elijah. You also heard from Kojo Otri. He's a digital publicist. We want to say big thank you to you, gentlemen, for connecting with us, and also for those of you who tested into the show. We want to say big thank you to you. My name is Maxwell Agbagba. Show was ably produced by Michael Papani Ashley. We'll be back next week, Friday. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.